This
And let the
conference will
record-
now be recorded.
All right, so now we're going. Let the record reflect that Councilor Arnold, Councilor Best, and myself are here. Councilor Moore, are you online? I don't see you, but I want to give you an opportunity if you're there. Councilor Moore? Okay, I don't hear Councilor Moore. Maybe she'll join us shortly. Okay, and if I could get an approval of the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion to approve the agenda as presented in a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes from May 22nd. Did anybody have any kind of thoughts, concerns? If not, they will stand approved. And non-action items, project update discussion.
Okay, project updates. We're in baseball season, so I want to give you a lineup change. 2 weeks ago, streets department moved into where the old planning and zoning is at. So now downstairs you have street superintendent Quinn Miller, assistant street superintendent Franklin Cohen, and the admin Monica Barazas, and Monica is here with us. She'll also be attending now because she's gonna become a pinch hitter for Glenda and Bernadette as needed. Monica, I promised she wouldn't have to speak, but she comes from Sweat Construction in Artesia. She is a Roswell lady. She was commuting out of Sweat Construction. Of course, she was the admin for the construction services, but she was also the safety coordinator. Another lineup change that we have is after 3 years, thanks to God, we have a assistant city engineer, civil engineer. His title is senior civil engineer, AKA assistant city engineer, and James McCornack. And I'll let him give a little quick background.
Yep, so I was born and raised in Albuquerque, went to UNM, got my engineering degree in 2004. After that, I worked for a couple of years at Eclipse Aviation up in Albuquerque. Then came down here for Mexico Gas Company, at the time was PNM. I was district engineer and construction supervisor for the gas company for almost 15 years. And then I was at the highway department subsequent to that for almost 2 years. And now I'm here. Glad to be here.
And what else?
Yeah.
What was the other background?
I was on planning and zoning for several years also.
Yeah, he had to resign just recently because he came over here.
You're not old enough to be able to have done all that, so
Most welcome. Okay, project updates. If you look at the project updates in your packet, there are 4 major projects that are on that, are not on that list yet. Be items number 9 and number 10 for this agenda. The other one is the Brasher drainage, which we're gonna get an agreement from the legislator for 800,000. So that'll require RFP to do the design for Brasher. And design, just so you can keep it in your mind, we're gonna design Brasher as a 4-lane from Maine to Southeast Maine with the drainage. Those of you who've been here in infrastructure for a while, you remember the Roswell Industrial Subdivision. We're gonna turn that to detention pond. Because the detention pond that was identified in the 1997 South Roswell drainage study is now Admiral Beverage, which we used to own, so don't own, but that's politics.
yeah.
But that's coming up. And then if you remember, we also got awarded $520,000 to do an action plan to identify safety projects. That's called the SS4A, Safe Streets for All. And we'll have to have an RFP federally qualified, and that's one of James's biggest, his first project. And we'll have that scope of work next month. So looking at the project updates, that's last month's picture. I have sent out the ribbon cutting date, requested ribbon cutting date to city management. I have not heard anything. I'm not going to share the date because I don't know if that's a good date or not. But in July, we'll be done with the inclusive park, and we have suggested a ribbon cutting date. So the contractor can come up here whatever date it is, it's after 10 o'clock, so they can come up here and represent themselves as well. But if you haven't been to the inclusive park, the fence is being put up right now. We got to do some more surfacing, and we're just about done. We're on the final lap. And I stand for any questions on the project updates.
Questions or discussion on the updates? Okay, all right, moving on.
Jennifer, airport infrastructure.
On our list, I'll just give you a brief update on some of the projects that are moving along. Terminal parking lot, we're about 20% completed on that. The east water line is completed. Master plan, we have received the first 3 chapters of the working papers. They have been sent out to the TAC for review and comment. The geotech on the rug hanger, I have sent to Mr. Nahar. He's given me his review. He's reviewed it and given me his comments. I've presented them back to the engineers. The strategic plan, the board recommendation letters will be presented to the legal committee on June 27th and council in July. And the whole bars that were all approved last month at council. So we're waiting for July to request a purchase order so we can get started on those. Questions?
Questions?
I have a question for the water line part 2. Is that going to get funded? And the only reason I asked how soon you guys want to start. So I'd prefer if we just hired the engineer ourselves and take Armstrong out as being the middleman. But I just asked that question. Don't have to have it answered now, but that's the question that's in my head.
I've listed it on the capital project as number 1. So we continue on with that.
I think we can do a little bit cheaper design wise and quicker wise if engineering is in charge of it. Yeah.
All right, moving on to veterans.
Abraham?
Committee Chair, committee members, thank you. We now have 100% completed construction documents for the McBride Cemetery.
Picture.
The 29th, I'll be meeting with the veterans group just to kind of go over, have them sign off on it. We did work with them hand in hand, the full development of these plans. So we just want to get their final thoughts before we put it out to bid. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on where we're at with McBride. Any questions?
So what are you planning to accomplish at this meeting with them? It's just updating them or?
It's going to show them the full set of plans, let them know it's all completed. Any finalized, if they see anything within the plans, they might want to make an adjustment or move. We'll have the conversation there and we're pretty much done.
Barring any problems, what's the next step?
Put it out to bid, get the appropriate bidders, and then we should start construction, I think, within 45 days after that.
Any questions, thoughts? Okay, moving on to the first of the items for consideration today, the large diameter emergency water line repair.
Lorenzo Sanchez.
2940 West Second.
Okay, Mr. Chair, committee members, I'm here today asking you to consider approval to ratify the large diameter emergency water line repair work to White Cloud Pipeline Corp. For water line repairs at 2940 West Second Street in the amount of $60,246.64, which does include the GRT. So background, the city has a large diameter water line break on a 20-inch transmission line at 2440 West Second Street. Large diameter water line repair work was awarded to White Cloud Pipeline Corp. Utilizing RFP 22-006, the on-call utility repair services. And this is specialized repair work on concrete cylinder, which requires an excavator, shoring equipment, and welding steel reinforcement bands on the pipe. White Cloud Pipeline was selected to perform the repair work due to them providing the lowest quote to perform the repair. Financial consideration, this item will be funded through the regular operating budget, and that was from transferring funding from 5,300-4353, which is water production, to 5,300-4354, water maintenance, infrastructure maintenance and repair account. With that, I stand for any questions. Just real quick also, we're going to ratify the repair work has not been completed yet, but it will be completed, should be completed before we go to council. That's why it's being said to ratify.
Say that one more time.
Repair work has not been completed as yet, but it is scheduled to be completed before city council meeting.
Okay.
So that's why it says to ratify here, even though it hasn't been completed as of yet.
Okay. Questions? Counselor Best.
So when we vote on this to go ahead and go through with this, we are also voting on moving and transferring the money from the water production to the water maintenance. So we're doing two things on this vote.
I've already transferred the funding, Counselor. It's still the water enterprise funding money. It's kind of the same fund regardless. It's all water fund. It all comes from the enterprise fund regardless. I don't need no budget. I just transfer money from one account to another. It's within the water enterprise fund.
So to answer your question, Counselor, you're just ratifying the work.
Questions? Thoughts? Anything else? Counselor Hildebrand, I just recognize that you're here with us. I apologize. Any thoughts, questions? Wisdom? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve ratification for the large diameter emergency water line repair work at 2940 West 2nd Street in the amount of $60,246.64 to White Cloud Pipeline Corp.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we send to full council for ratification of the work at 2940 West 2nd in the amount of $60,246.64. Includes the GRT. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Now on to ITB 22007 for the final on the water line phase 2 at Edgewood.
Hey, Mr. Chair, committee members, here today asking you to recommend ratification of change order number 1, final, ITB 22-007, Edgewood Waterline Phase 2, an amount of $65,253.37, plus $5,029.93 GRT for a total monetary amount of $70,283.30. So background, the Edgewood Waterline Phase 2 project was funded by the Water Trust Board. The waterline work is Water Trust Board project number 5434 WPF, which is an agreement with the city of Roswell. The agreement is for the total amount for $750,000, 40% loan, $300,000, and 60% grant, $450,000. Loan portion is a 20-year loan at a 0.25 interest rate, which is a great interest rate. New Mexico Finance Authority is the financial agent for this project. With the change order, total project cost is $762,828.07, which includes $12,828.07 over the Water Trust Board agreement. With that, I stand for any questions.
Questions, concerns, thoughts? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend ratification of change order 1 final for ITB 22-007 Edgewood Waterline Phase 2 in the amount of $65,253.37 plus $5,029.93 GRT for total monetary amount of $70,283.30.
We have a motion and a second that we send to full council recommendation to ratify the change order 1 for the final for ITB 22007 as stated. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. RFP 24001, scope of work.
Bobby Franco, code enforcement.
I'd like to request scope of work for the tree trimming and disposal services. Our last contractor has resigned, and we're just looking to reopen it and get more contractors on this list. The request is for removing hazardous tree limbs on the right of way. And they can be on standby for emergency calls for fallen trees, fallen limbs with the wind. I'm just looking to get this started again so we can have somebody on call.
Who were we contracted with?
Law and Order, he retired from the city, so he got the RFP for the first time. But he since got another job and now he can't
Okay.
fulfill his contract. So that's why he resigned.
How long have we been without the service?
He just resigned last month.
Okay. All right. Questions, concerns, thoughts? I will entertain a motion and
Send this to consent.
I was about to say the exact same
Yeah.
thing. This could go to consent.
Keeping up with my pages. Mr. Chair, I'd like to consider approval of scope of work for RFP 24-001, tree removal, disposal, and trimming services throughout the city to be added to the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second, recommend the approval of the scope of work RFP 24001. Tree removal, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Recommend of the award of ITB 23-023 for the bridge replacement project. Finally,
Chairman, before I say that, items 5 and 6 are also eligible to go to consent. You don't want to change that?
I would have no problem with it, but someone, because of the amount of money, even though it's already the budget that's already there, I have no problem putting it on there, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone pulls. Counselors?
Consent is fine.
I'm good with consent on.
Okay. We have consent from the three of us that those go to consent. Now, if Counselor Hildebrand pulls it out, we're going to jerk a knot in his head.
I just say they're pretty well straightforward.
They are.
And I know how our council meetings can be. Okay, going to item number 8.
What is that supposed to mean?
Be rather long.
Yeah, whatever. Yes, sir.
We have a true full explanation of that statement.
They can be rather long.
I think that this meeting would be rather long if he gave a full statement on that. So, all right, East Escalero.
That picture you see there is actually 1 year from today. It was June 26th that the bridge went out. We had over 3 inches in about an hour, right in the Barindo watershed.
Mike, have you ever been out there to that bridge by chance? You stood out there and waved people off, didn't you? Yeah. All right.
Anyway, the bridge went out, and I think on July 9th, the governor came down and pledged money. All the money was pledged to the DOT funding. We got it designed. We finally got it bid. The design process was long, but that's to be understood when you have a river. You got to go to the Corps of Engineers, Mexico Environmental Department, and those sorts of entities. The low bid, as you look on page 30, The low bid is Smithco. At the bid opening, if you were at the bid opening, Abraham's was the low bid, but engineering reviewed the bid tab, and Smithco had a $140,000 bust. And they were contacted, and they're willing to take the $140,000 hit and be the low bid, which saves the city another $140,000. So Smithco will be the contractor awarded this contract. And so we're recommending award of the contract ITB 23-023 East Mescalero Road Bridge Replacement Project, Smithco, in the amount of $1,218,703.26, which includes GRT. Smithco is doing the $8 million project for us at the wastewater treatment plant. They also did some 36-inch water projects for us, 42-inch water projects for us. They are very capable of doing this. So I'm requesting recommendation of award at council, and this can also be a consent item.
Yeah, let's play with that.
Question or discussions?
Cut and dry.
Glad to be getting this one done.
Let's send to consent the awarding of ITB-23-023 East Mescalero Road Bridge Replacement Project to Smithco Construction, the amount of $1,218,703.26, which includes GRT.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend the award of ITB 23023 to consent at the next agenda for the replacement of the bridge with amounts stated. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The resolution for the country club rehabilitation project.
Renzo, you want to give it, or do you want me to give it?
It doesn't matter. I can do it if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chair, committee members,
Up to the country club one.
There's not, that's.
Didn't come out?
What is slide 13? 13.
There you go. Go ahead, Lorenzo.
okay. Mr. Chair, committee members, the action requested today is recommend resolution 23XX in support of funding for the country club rehabilitation project to the New Mexico Finance Authority Water Project Funding Project WPF 5980 with a total monetary agreement amount of $8 million. Little background, committee will be given the opportunity for Q&A on any project, and the project dashboard is part of the committee packet. On this loan right here, we were given a loan of $4.4 million and which is 55% loan and 45% grant in amount of $3.6 million. The loan component is a 20-year term with the interest rate of 0.25% interest rate with the administrative fee component of 0.25%. With that, I stand for any questions.
Questions, concerns?
And this is just for the resolution. What happens,
Right.
we still have to send the readiness package back to Water Trust Board, and then they'll send us the agreement back. So council will get to see the agreement with the full terms before the mayor can sign it. So this is just another step in the process.
Sure.
I would also recommend this go to consent. It does meet consent.
So quick question, can you actually advise why you decided to go with a loan on that? Where were we at? What led to that decision?
We requested $8 million grant is what we requested. We were only awarded the 3.6 million. We were expecting a little bit more, hoping for more anyways, and that's what they ended up giving us.
So we didn't.
Not that we wanted loan, we wanted more grant money, but that's actually what the New Mexico Finance Authority allowed us in the grant.
Questions?
So this is just a resolution.
This is just a resolution support,
The first,
part of the readiness package.
okay.
If you read that letter of award, the readiness package has to be in by September 29, 2023. It has this part plus some financials that I'll be getting from finance and other stuff. Then we'll get the agreement. Once we get the agreement, we'll bring it to council so then they can sign the agreement and execute the contract. Or the loans will be closing of them.
Did you have more?
No, thank you.
Counselor Best?
No, sir.
Counselor Hildebrand, did you have any? Anyone else? Entertain a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to recommend resolution 23-XX in support of funding the Country Club Rehabilitation Project through New Mexico Finance Authority Water Project Funding, project number or WPF 5980 with a total monetary agreement amount of $8 million. It's hard to say. The consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the resolution supporting the funding of the county country club rehabilitation project through New Mexico Finance Authority Water Project Funding. As presented for consent. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, the resolution in support of funding the Hobson Road Flood Prevention Project.
Mr. Chairman, committee, what you see on that picture is the last Hobson Road flooding that we had. And that's actually the intersection of Hobson Road and Earl Cummins. As if we were looking that direction, you're looking east, and right behind us would be the National Guard. If you went out there when it was flooding, the National Guard actually had a running stream going to its parking lot. We put in for an application, this application, the Country Club for Water Trust Board, and they both hit. This one's structured a little bit differently. 13% of it is the loan for 1.2 million and change. And the rest of it, 87% is a grant. Same terms for the interest rate and the administrative fee. I will, especially since Councilor Hildebrand is here, so you can get a concept of this. We have to have the readiness package. We got to get the agreement back. We got to run that through there. Simultaneously, I'll probably be getting RFQs for a consultant, but it's going to take 9 months to design it. And then even then to construction, depending how the design comes, we're probably looking at about a year of construction. So it's $9 million. I envision it going over 3 fiscal years, just to give you a concept of how the money's going to flow. The Country Club reservoirs will go much quicker because the design is quite simpler. And we already know what to do there. But they'll still probably take 2 fiscal years for his project as well. I would ask that once we're done with these 2 loans, that our finances be reviewed and see how it is being able to take more loans if we've reached the plateau there. But I ask that, finance is not here, but Chad's already gone, but Mike, I would ask that that finance, when this goes, do a review for next year. So we're going to put in other applications, or are we done putting in applications for a while? Just my recommendation. And again, this one can go to consent as well, resolution 23-YY.
Okay, questions?
Make a recommendation to send to consent agenda resolution 23YY in support of the funding the Hobson Road Flooding Prevention Project through the New Mexico Finance Authority Water Project Funding Project 5979-WPF with the total monetary agreement amount of $9,602 $273.
Second.
A motion and second to send a consent recommendation to approve the support of funding for Hobson Road Flood Prevention Project as listed. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Department reports, besides what's in the packet, we do have the UFO events, the live events coming up this weekend. I did speak with our street assistant superintendent, Franklin Cohen, and we did reach out to Vector Control to verify that this week we're gonna have the Bremen sprayed, we're gonna have Cielo Grande sprayed, we'll have the downtown area sprayed in front of these activities, kind of help out. It'll still be hot, there'll probably still be flies with food, but that's all the preventive stuff that we can do. And we stand for any questions in the department.
One question that I have on airport real quick that I probably could have asked earlier and I just did not. Where are we with the finances that we all heard about from Santa Fe as through all the discussion? Where are we at and all
I
that?
did talk to them this morning and they're trying to make determinations by the end of this week. So we'll have something first July.
Okay. Call me and let me know.
What she did tell me was that they're giving her $20 million to allocate for her airport. Mary is getting the other $20 million for other airports, and she's not real happy with the way that they're distributing the funds.
Well, I'm not real happy just based on the fact that there were rules set in place as to how the application process, and now it seems like all that's just been set on the back burner out of quote unquote fairness, but that's not your fault though. So, but hopefully you'll know here.
Hopefully we'll know by the end of the week.
Okay. Be great to know. Okay. Any other counselors have anything?
I just had one question. I wanted to actually have a follow-up with Abraham on where we are with status of employees and,
With the CDL drive,
well, with that, I just know we had a shortage of,
you had your event last week?
On June 15th, we had a hiring event and Streets and Water were gracious to let us hold it by ourselves. We ended up hiring 10 individuals that have already been hit the streets for 2 weeks. We actually have an updated org chart here I can share with councilors.
Say that again. You had a hiring event when
June 15th,
you hired 10.
we hired 11. One of them dropped out. We already have them in the field. Training as we speak. We only have 2 vacancies you can see in the green squares here. We're 98% staffing right now. And we're getting back at it. So appreciate the follow-up question, Councilor. The $18 an hour was a big incentive for them to come in. We had 2 returning employees and a lot of employees from surrounding businesses that have a better schedule because we have a first shift schedule. They actually have their weekends free. They're actually home in the afternoon. They don't have to travel to Artesia, Carlsbad. They actually get to stay home and see their kids at night. So a lot of the staff came on board. It's pretty positive.
Did you have anything?
No, sir.
Counselor Hildebrand? Okay. I saw we had public online. I saw she is not there anymore. Anyone in the room, public comment? If not, we are adjourned at 5:05.